Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're all doing very, very well. Welcome back to another episode of 3 Points Perspective, the show where we talk about everything that's going on at the moment. It used to be that we just spoke about 3 points, but now I think it's just 3 opinions, isn't it? And then you can get through as much as you want. You're not capped. And there is actually more going on than you would expect, but this is pretty much the first transfer show that we've had, and it's the 23rd of January. I don't think we've actually done a transfer show at all because it's been basically pointless. I mean, we've spoken maybe a little bit about Jeremy Jacquet, but that's it. So this is as busy as it looks like it's going to get. But big up to everyone. Good morning to all of you, and I hope you're having a fantastic Friday as it stands. I'm here with Nina and Charlie. How are you doing, guys?
Yeah,
good,
mate. All right.
You got any plans for the weekend apart from the game?
No.
No.
Actually, pretty chill this weekend. For a first,
You're going to the game, obviously, Nina.
Seeing some friends tomorrow.
Yep.
Looking forward to a lie-in first and foremost.
Yeah, late night bird does need a lion.
Oh, for God's sake, guys! It's been 2 minutes. Give it a rest.
Oh.
Right, can we talk about the football now?
We had a couple of hours sleep before the show had to start today.
Hey,
some slack. It's been
you know what? I'm just gonna be silent.
Charlie, you're horrible, mate.
No, it was just a little bit of fun. Oh,
it wasn't me, Nina. It was Charlie. You got to.
No, but you did something far worse the other week. So.
Both of you became. Now move on.
Yeah, we moved on. Yep. So you're doing something nice on Saturday. What about Sunday?
Crystal Palace.
You are going. You are going then.
Yes, I will.
Okay, perfect. Right. Okay, come on then. Let's move on. Let's
go, guys. See you later. Have a nice stream. See you on Sunday.
Horrible.
Take care.
What should we start on, Nina? I'll let you pick the first event. So, I mean, the main topic.
I get the first pick of what we talk about.
You can have the first pick if you'd like. You can have the first pick. I mean, we got this news about Douglas Luiz potentially coming on loan. Obviously, Jeremy Jacquet as well. Palmer. I mean, what's your opinion on like everything generally, and then we can hone in on one topic.
Well, on everything generally, we were just having a chat, weren't we? That this transfer window just seems quite meh, very quiet. And I think with each passing transfer window, we're feeling more and more underwhelmed in terms of our ambition and what we're spending, what we're trying to acquire in terms of players. So yeah, like not long ago in January, we're signing Enzo Fernandez for 120 odd million. So yeah, it feels a strange time. Obviously, you mentioned Jeremy Jacquet there. Not entirely inspired. I don't really have an opinion on him at all, to be honest with you. There's obviously, like you mentioned, Douglas Luiz there, which I think is a little bit more interesting. I don't know. From my understanding, he's obviously a little bit of a stopgap, isn't he? Someone to come in and sort of fill the voids for our injured players in midfield, even though he's had a couple injuries himself, and he's probably not at his very best. Doesn't really play much for us at the minute. So I'm not too sure how he fits into our team at the minute. He's got experience though, and I think that's something we've been banging on about. Though I do feel like it's quite different because when he was playing his best years at Villa, he was a lot younger. He seemed a lot fitter and was just a bigger part in that Villa team than he probably could be now. But for someone who's always said experience is important, I think I'd be foolish to just completely turn my nose up at it because, you know, if it is a stopgap and if we've got players right now in midfield who are injured or can't play every game, then it could be an option. It adds an extra player there as well on the bench, quite a familiar face as well. If you're talking about bringing someone on who you know well, who is familiar to the Premier League, you don't have the what if factor with that, then it could be interesting. So that's slightly more intriguing actually than everything else I've sort of heard in the window.
I mean, I can't say I'm enthusiastic about the loan itself, but you can't deny that he's a good player. and I do think it'll improve our squad. I'd rather have a player like Douglas Luiz in my squad than Buonanotte, if we're looking for one example. But that doesn't mean that I think it's a good deal in comparison to some of the other things that potentially could be happening. I mean, even just holding out to get a better midfield in the summer, I'd rather go in that direction. What I will say though is if we do get a player like Douglas Luiz, and at least we're trying to strengthen, quote unquote, as opposed to last season when we basically made ourselves worse. So we could do the same thing potentially with Disassi, maybe even Sterling as well, we've heard. So I mean, there's 3 players that technically we could enhance our squad with, but we'd only have to pay extra for one because we're already paying 2 of them and they're in the bomb squad. I mean, what do you think about it, Charlie?
I don't mind it too much. It's clear that the reason they're doing this is they obviously know that the Lavia injury is way more serious than has ever been let on. It's clear they don't count. They're feeling like they can't count on Lavia or Asugu for that matter very much, if at all, for the remainder of the season. And that leaves us very light in midfield with Enzo, Caicedo and Santos. It probably means if you did bring Douglas Luiz in, then you would see Enzo Fernandez play more as a number 10 as cover for Cole Palmer. And then you'd see Douglas Luiz be a rotation option in midfield alongside the likes of Caicedo and Andre Santos. And it also means that we don't have to keep playing Reece James in midfield and we can have, 2 options at right back. So whilst it's not the most inspiring situation, whilst it's not like something that gets you excited, in the short term on a 6-month loan for someone with no obligation to buy or anything, just come in, just be a body and allow us just to have an extra person there should we need it. I think it's not a bad idea. But obviously, Forest and Juve need to cancel the loan and then we got to take out a loan with Juventus. So there's no guarantees it happens. But, someone at 27 years of age, the only thing I would say is that he's not played decent football really for nearly 2 years now. His best season was at Aston Villa 23-24 campaign. I think he got 9 goals and like 4 assists or something in the league that season. That got him the move to Juventus. He was terrible at Juventus. And then at Forest, he's been in and out of the team. And the fact that he's not a regular starter in a 17th place team in the Premier League is a little bit of a concern. But
is it less than 200 minutes?
Yeah, he's not played much at all. But again, I can caveat that one injuries, and 2, if he plays a certain amount of minutes, like the obligation in that loan deal Forest have got becomes active, and basically Forest don't want to activate it. So he has been subbed at half time in quite a lot of games as well, because they obviously want to keep the minutes down so that the obligation to buy doesn't become active. But my concern would be as well is that Luiz has missed about 11 or 12 games this season already through injury. Is another injury-prone or seemingly injury-prone player what we need as cover in the short term for 2 players who can't stay fit in Asugu and Lavia? I'm not really sure. But the idea to bring someone in for 6 months in midfield, I'm not against that. I think it's the right thing to do. But yeah, outside of Douglas Luiz, I don't know who else you could potentially go for. But yeah, I'm not against this. I don't think it's as bad as what maybe some people make it out to be, providing there's no obligation to buy and providing it's literally 6 months and then see you later.
I mean, I could definitely see him slotting into the system. I think he's a player that's capable of doing it. I quite like watching Douglas Luiz from what I saw at Villa, but, he's not playing for Juventus. That's the problem. And obviously he's not playing for Forest either. But in fairness, Forest have a really bad record of treating loan players well. They did it with Andre Santos as well, and then we recalled him and sent him off to Strasbourg, which was really beneficial. So I don't know if I'm going to judge that particular loan deal too much. If you're going to add the fact that there's an obligation as well, then it makes sense. I almost think that if I was a player and I had the opportunity to have these obligations, I'd probably reject it, or I'd try and sort of get it out of the way, because you're sort of hindering your own career unnecessarily. You just want to go on loan, get some minutes, build up your value, maybe even get a bit of credibility, and potentially when you come back to Juventus, then you can go, listen, I've had a good spell, give me a chance. But you don't even have that now, because Forest don't want to pay the money, they don't value enough, and obviously Juventus, we already know how they feel. So if he's going to Chelsea, I don't see how it's in anyone's favour to have an obligation like that. And we're obviously going to do the same thing that Forest are doing in terms of limiting his minutes. We do that anyway with our own players, the ones that we don't even have to worry about in terms of obligations. So, yeah, a bit of a strange one. I think Juventus are sort of shooting themselves in the foot in a way, but I understand why they're doing it. But just get the guy some minutes. If you're looking to sell him and build him up in value, I don't know. I mean, you've got players like Sterling. It makes perfect sense why you're going to try and have an obligation there. It's the wages. What's his wages like? Does anyone know?
What, Douglas Luiz? Well, it would be, you probably cover part. Juve may pay all of it, or you'd be paying maybe half or whatever. So
you think they would do that? They'd
no, maybe it'd be half or 3/4 or like it wouldn't be a huge financial outlay for Chelsea. And look, this is not. I mean, people are acting like this would be someone coming in and like starting every week. This is a squad filler. This is just another body. He'd play a few games, even if he came and played 10 to 15 games between now and the end of the season. You know, because you can guarantee if we don't bring someone in, or you know, what are the chances that Enzo Fernandez or Caicedo could get injured between now and the end of the season? That's just not a risk worth taking. So you can do something in the short term. I think it would be smart to explore that, because you know full well that like we don't do anything, like one of them is bound to go down, and they can't play every game between now and the end of the season anyway. So you are going to potentially need someone else in there. So yeah, look, whilst he's not, you know, played good football for a couple of years now, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, I was going to say there's worse loans to make, but also I don't see him playing full 90s ever, really. He's going to be a player who just occasionally starts, maybe gets a half in there, or maybe comes on to just offer a little bit of physicality. He's not particularly the fastest anymore either, and he does kind of let the game pass him sometimes. So I don't think that's particularly going to be, you know, a player who, like I said at the start, sees out 90 minutes. So it just could be a good option to have. Whoa, where did we go?
What happened there?
So yeah, I actually don't mind it. I think the more I sort of think about it, I think I become more open to it as well. And like Charlie said, you can't really risk if our midfielders are sort of, you know, 50-50 in terms of being fit for matches, and we know that sometimes they do tend to play through slightly concerning pains or whatever. We don't really want that for the long term and losing them out potentially. Lavia is a huge question mark, and I mean, are we ever really going to have a timeline on when Lavia is going to be back and playing for us? Because that just seems
it's not going to be this season.
Such a distant sort of thing and prospect where you just wonder. It feels like Lavia is not even a Chelsea player. When you think about the, you know, when I think about Chelsea players, Lavia doesn't even come to mind anymore straight away. So that just tells you everything. But we certainly do need some sort of stopgap option, and I think this could be quite a low risk for the first time loan move we potentially made.
I think there's no risk at all, really. If it turns out to be crap, he goes back and he's gone at the end of the season anyway. So for me, like, you can't really lose much from it. So, you know, if we get it done, then great. But you know, there's quite a few moving parts to it, really, because obviously Juve and Forest have got to terminate that loan, and then we've got to take out a separate one.
I think that we've shown our cards with Buonanotte as well. We know how we're going to treat our loan players, like second-class citizens, basically, in football terms. And if he accepts that, then fair enough. But, I mean, there's a good chance you'll actually get more minutes at Chelsea than Forest, regardless. And at least you'll be given the opportunity to play in more competitions, European football as well, at least Champions League football. And potentially have a cup run as well. There's your opportunity. If the obligation, I mean, if you want to get technical, maybe the obligation has something to do with league minutes or all the rest of it. Who knows? And there could be an opportunity to play him in the cups. But I mean, I'd still prioritize the likes of Andre Santos and players like that in midfield. But if we have injuries, etc., then it makes perfect sense. Let us know what you think in the comments as well. Are you happy about this Douglas Luiz link as he deals, saying it's a loan? Imagine acting like he's a poor player. I don't think anyone's saying that he is poor.
No,
but he's been poor for 2 years.
No, I think we're just making the comparison that his best seasons at Villa are supposedly past him. You know, look, that's a fair point to say based on how his last 2 years have been. But also, one more thing is, I think he could prove to be more useful than we might think, or just any really player of in that position at the minute, because like we say, if Cole Palmer's not fully fit still, and we don't really see him feature much, I think we're going to be more we're going to be seeing, I think, Caicedo, Enzo and Santos maybe start in the same team quite a bit from here on. So again, you're talking about having no depth really at all to substitute on for either or. So having a player like him can actually be more important, especially if we want Reece James to maybe play in his natural position a little bit more and play as a right back. I think that's actually a very, very useful thing to do.
No, I mean, well, I will say just on James, I'm actually quite happy with him in the midfield. As much as people might not like to hear that.
Sometimes I'm not. I don't even think that.
I'm not regularly though.
I don't mind it, Charlie. I don't mind it.
Yeah, every week.
If you've got a player like Caicedo missing, James has shown that he's the only other guy.
When that's true, yes. But when Caicedo's there, like sometimes I think with Reece, it's not the problem that he's in midfield; it's the problem that he's not at right back. Do you know what I mean? It's like because
you need two of them, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. And there's just no other player I trust as much as him. And sometimes when you're up against, those pacey wingers in the Prem, he's just so useful there. Otherwise, that right side does sometimes become a lot more vulnerable. But yeah, I certainly think bringing in another midfielder right now is sensible.
Let's move on to Cole Palmer. Big up to Richie, says Blueco out, Cold Palmer to Man United. I'm guessing you are a Chelsea fan. I'm guessing you are.
He is. Richie CFC, Alex.
Oh yeah, Richie CFC. There you go. So yeah, I mean, obviously this would be a disaster if Palmer did go to Man United. Big up to Richie as well. I don't think there's any truth to this. Ben Jacobs came out yesterday on the United stand and basically said there's not really much concrete evidence to show that, and we're not really seeing an awful lot of follow-ups on on some of the articles that have come out. So I mean, I'm calling bluff on this one, but I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah, it's a load of nonsense, mate. It's obviously every so often you just get these stories that basically seemingly been sourced from absolutely nowhere, and then people believe it as absolute truth. When there's only one person saying something, chances are it's probably not true. On the odd occasion, it might be true on the odd occasion, but generally speaking, when it's one person banging the drum and no one reputable or creditable has followed it up or said anything to support them, chances are it's a load of nonsense. And I think this is the exact same thing with that. Obviously, Palmer has not had the best season. He's struggling with injury. His form's been poor since he came back in December. And, people kind of get, a bit carried away. They sort of think, oh, he's not playing well. Oh, his body language don't look great. Oh, he must be homesick. And then suddenly, he'd go back to Man United.
One picture in a Man United shirt pops up, and it's
honestly, it's. By the way, I'm not saying that Palmer might not leave in the summer or might not try to leave in the summer if we miss out on Champions League football. Even if we did get Champions League football, if we're not looking like we're going to challenge for a Premier League title, if we're not looking serious, then sure. I'm fully aware that likes of Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, these kinds of guys could look to leave the club. But yeah, this Palmer to Man United stuff right now, I just think is just a load of rubbish.
Yeah, agree.
I mean, I don't understand it at all. I mean, they're saying he's homesick, and also you spoke about body language. The guy's body language has always been the same.
That's what I said. He scores a worldie and he would shrug it off, do his celebration, and just go, "Yeah, and what?"
It's like when we're in a derby or something, they're all fighting, and he's there sitting on the ground and rolling over like. The guy
waiting for the game to restart.
He's never ever been a guy that's had his chest out, head up, all the rest of it. I'm not sitting here saying his head's down, but a lot of the time he looks like one of those teenagers that you'd see at school that, he's got his hood up and he's not supposed to, and all the rest of it. And the teacher goes, "Pull your trousers up," and all the rest of it. He's just so casual. He's so casual. I don't think that I can hold that against him because of the way he's playing. If anything, it was quite cool when he was playing well to have this player that was so nonchalant and is still able to perform to such a level. So, I think that's a bit of a strange way of looking at it. Also, as well, I feel like what was the game? What was the game where Maresca got called out for the subs? Was it Bournemouth?
Bournemouth, yeah.
So Bournemouth, like he's walking off the pitch and then he pretends to take a corner. Like I wouldn't call that bad body language. That's having a sense of humor. That looks like someone that's actually enjoying himself, that feels comfortable. I mean, maybe he is homesick. I'm not saying he isn't. I personally prefer Manchester to London. I think Manchester's a great place, but also I'm not the one getting paid close to 200 grand a week to play football. So it's a different life.
If he was playing well, right, and if he was in good form, these stories don't come out.
100%. It gets to a point where, well, I mean, it's obvious, isn't it? Journalists, they're like, well, what else am I going to talk about? There's nothing else. I mean, Nina, you said you went on Sky and all you were speaking about was Disassi and Sterling. So, I mean, what else are these journalists going to fish out? They've got to pluck stories out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, with Palmer, though, it's like you say, Alex, that's Cole. I mean, there's nothing really, like, obviously we all scrutinise the celebration and the reaction to him scoring the penalty. It just really did seem like it was maybe a little bit off, but I don't think it was anything to really dwell on. If he's not feeling well, he's just probably not feeling well right now. Do you know what I mean? I do think it's a slow recovery thing. I know that Rosinia said it wasn't linked to his groin issue and it's something else, but there is obviously something wrong with Palmer right now. I do think he's going through a bit of a moment, maybe mentally as well, and the best of footballers will go through that. So maybe that's just him going through that right now, but I don't think there's any indication from his body language to say that he's not interested at being at Chelsea or anything like that. And I think sometimes we forget they are human beings. Like, they get paid extortionate salaries, yes, but they are human. They do feel pain like we do, us peasants, the poor ones. So it's a natural thing to go through. And I also think undergoing transition in terms of, if colleagues leave, managers leave, like, it's bound to cause changes. Like, they were all quite close to Maresca as well. It's normal that they're adjusting to life under a new coach, and everything's been so rapid and there's a large turnover. Like, we as fans, we think we go through the transition, but they go through it like hands-on. So if I'm looking at it a little bit more from like an emotional perspective, I think what he's going through right now is perfectly understandable, especially with the injury. And Palmer is a player that just loves to do well. He knows how good he is. We know how good he is. I don't think that takes away from him. And personally, I have a lot of belief in him, and I know that Palmer's going to be back at his best. But yeah, I mean, there will always be stories, I think. And even if you have like a world-class game and you go on to have another one, you're always going to be supposedly linked to Real Madrid at the end of that week. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's not anything kind of crazy that we haven't seen before. But I do think it's quite funny, some of the tweets, like Cole Palmer waking up to find out he's moved to Man United on Twitter. Like, it's just, yeah, social media, we know what it's like. I don't think there's any substance to it at all.
No, I mean, I've seen some stuff from Martin Desailly as well. That was one of the rumors. He suggested that he could look for an exit route, Cole Palmer, if he loses faith in the Premier League side project. So it's all rumors. It's all opinions. It's all, this could happen, that could happen, and that's fine. But don't make it a bigger story than what it actually is. I want to say as well that if Chelsea don't get Champions League, and we continue going the way we're going, then yeah, Palmer does get blamed because you haven't been as good. And yes, you can talk about the injuries all you want, but we didn't hold back on Enzo. We didn't hold back on other players. So why should we do the same with Cole Palmer? So if that's the energy you want to come with, then perform. And then if we still don't reach our goals, then you have the right to say that, you know what, you did your job and everybody else let you down, a bit like Van Persie at Arsenal or whatnot. Where you feel like everyone around you is just not to the same level. But if I've got a guy who's not really performing that well, and you've got other players who, in my opinion, maybe standing out more this season, and you have the arrogance to think that, we're not in the Champions League. What are they going to carry you? You're one of the higher earners in terms of the Clearlake model and the wages, etc. I know he's not on as much as some of the Bowley contracts, but like, you need to take responsibility as well. So I mean, there's definitely an element where I'm like, okay, I want us to do well, but also you're the man that's supposed to do it. So if you're not performing, then you can't sit here and have the arrogance to demand a move. Also, you know, I don't care what people say. He's in no position of power. He's on a 10-year contract. He's probably got about 8 years left at this point, maybe 7. And ultimately, if he wants to leave and Clear Lake say no, do you think they care about his feelings? Do you think they care? I was having a chat last night and people were saying they'd accept a bid of 100 million. Well, no, they wouldn't. They wouldn't accept 100 million. You know, it's like Jack Grealish at Villa. I don't think he was actually worth 100 million when he was sold to City. But he was worth that to Villa. That was his worth in terms of what Aston Villa were willing to let him go. If we're looking at release clause, then that's fine. What is Cole Palmer worth to us? And I think Cole Palmer is worth to us now what Eden Hazard was worth to us. It might not be the same play, it might not be the same caliber, but his importance to us is that strong. You know, you're looking at 100 million. People were saying, Alex, you can't look at the same price of Cole Palmer and compare him to Neymar. Yes, I can, because if we lose Cole Palmer, we are not serious as a football club. It's a bigger loss in itself in terms of just the sheer value of our football club. Not in terms of the money, but in terms of like how much we're respected. If you sell your best player, then other players aren't going to want to join you because they're going, right, I'm going to play with a bum like Buonanotte or Douglas Luiz instead of Cole Palmer. Yeah, that's the caliber that we're looking at now. And they're probably going to sell me on anyway when they can make a profit. So it just doesn't make any sense to me.
But this is something we are going to have to be prepared for at some point in the future if we don't actually start delivering and proving that we can challenge at a bare minimum for the major trophies, because players are not prepared to waste the prime years of their careers waiting for something to happen, which might never happen. And right now, a lot of those guys have given 2, 3, 4 years of their careers to this project so far, and it's under-delivered completely. Yes, okay, there's the Conference League and there's a Club World Cup, but in terms of these guys would have been pitched that we're going to be regularly in the Champions League, we're going to be challenging for Premier League titles and winning the major honours. Right now, we have done 1 Champions League qualification in 3 seasons. Wouldn't be unreasonable to think it could be 1 Champions League qualification in 4. We're not challenging for major trophies, constant turnover of managers, constant turnover of players. We're not showing we're serious in any way that we operate. Why is any player going to dedicate the prime years of their career to that when they could go elsewhere to a club where they'll play, they'll probably be treated better, and they are more likely to win the major honours? Because that's what the top players want to do. They want to win the major honours. It's okay if you arrive at 20 and you stay 4 or 5 years. But what these players now, Enzo Fernandez, 25, Cole Palmer, 23, 24, these guys are coming to 24, 25, 26, prime years of their careers. They're not going to want to hang about. They've got ambitions. They're not just going to waste away waiting for Chelsea to be something which right now they're not looking like they're ever going to be under this ownership.
They're not in a position of power, Charlie. They don't have the cards.
Bro, the players always have the power. If someone wants to leave the football club, they'll leave. Because as a football club, you're fighting a losing battle if you think you're going to keep a player that doesn't want to be there. Look what happened.
You're fighting a losing battle, because if you want to lose your starting position, your value will drop down. You're not the same commodity as if. But look at Isak.
Newcastle thought they'd keep Isak. Newcastle thought they had all the power over Isak.
Newcastle got an extortionate fee.
They did. They got off, but they got less than they wanted, and also they thought they'd be able to keep him. But
do you think Cole Palmer's worth more than Isak?
What did they get? About 120?
130, I think.
120-ish, 150, 120. No, I think, look, let's not make no mistake about it, right?
Well, I think Cole Palmer's worth more.
Well, on current form, he wouldn't. Like right now, I think if Chelsea got 120, 130 million pounds, they'd be tempted to accept it. I think it would be naive to think otherwise, that they would just flat out reject it. If that
How
money
old is Isak again?
Isak's 25, maybe 26.
Isak's quite young.
But my point is that these players are not going to wait and wait and wait for something which doesn't look like it's going to happen. And so that feels like the next thing in this Chelsea project, which doesn't really exist. The next thing is going to be these guys are going to start wanting out because what was promised to them has not happened, and they would have given it ample opportunity and a very fair crack. And also with players wanting to come up to new contracts. For example, Reece James, highest paid player at Chelsea. I think he's on 250 or 275. a week. He's coming up to 2 years left on his contract at the end of the season. There is no way that Chelsea will offer Reece James a pay rise on that current deal. They'd be lucky. Reece would be lucky if he was offered the same money as the current deal. So we're going to come into a situation there. And when these players do well at this football club and they want to enter into new contract talks, they're going to demand more money. Are we going to pay them more money? The evidence would suggest we're not.
Well, I agree with you with the James deal. I don't see him ever getting a pay rise. But I don't see why he would turn down $250,000 a week either. I think that's a great deal.
It is a great deal. Players know their worth, though.
But we've nurtured James in the sense that actually I would argue that Chelsea deserve a lot of credit for how James is doing at the moment. The fact that we've been able to showcase him as a midfielder, the fact that we've taken care of him, the fact that we haven't got him injured again. Sorry?
That's a testament to Reece, I think.
No, it's also a testament to him, but you can't ignore the fact that I think we deserve credit for that as a club. Because there's a lot of clubs that wouldn't have done that. So I can't look past the way we've managed him. I'll also say that I am worried about Cucurella. I'm worried about James in that sense, and more Cucurella actually. I think Cucurella is the one player.
I think he'll be sold in the summer. I don't want it to happen, but 2 years left on his contract at the end of the season. 27 years of age, which is not a problem at all, but obviously for Chelsea, it's a somewhat of an issue to a certain extent. He signed a new deal in late last year, but it wasn't a longer deal. It was just improved terms, so a slight pay rise. And we all know the 2 years and the 2 years left on the contract is you extend or they try and sell you. And so I would not be surprised at all if this could be Cucurella's last 6 months at the club. I wouldn't be. I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen, but I think it's one you have to be prepared for. And I think it's one you rightly have to accept, given previous history at the club. Is something that could definitely happen.
If Eghbali doesn't slightly accept the fact that if he lets a player like just one player leaving is the
domino effect. It's a domino effect.
It will happen again and again and again. And that's why it's so important you retain James. It's so important that you retain Cucurella. Caicedo deserves a pay rise. Like honestly, like you're going to get Sterling's books. Hopefully, Disasi's wages off the books anyway. So like, let's not act like we're going to seriously harm ourselves. Although I don't know if you saw the graph yesterday about the wages that Chelsea actually spend in comparison to the money they make. It's ridiculous. It's 72%. It's more than Aston Villa. And I always used to think that, we were quite reasonable with the way we spent our money. But actually, in terms of wages to revenue, you got PSG on 65%. You got Man City on 57%. United are on 51%. Arsenal 49%. Villa on 71%. And we're on 72%.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, though.
Obviously, that's because we don't bring in the money.
We'd be on a lot less if we had a front of shirt sponsor.
True. And if we had a big stadium.
That's the reality. Front of shirt sponsor probably nets you 50-60 million a season for the top ones. And so that would by the way, I'm not saying it wouldn't still be high, but we'd suddenly drop down below a lot of clubs if we had a front of shirt sponsor. I mean, the fact that we still don't have a front of shirt sponsor is just, there's been a lot of embarrassing things at the club over the last couple of years. But this one is just, it's a disgrace. It's as simple as that. It's honestly embarrassing. It's pathetic. And there's just nothing going on about it. It just seems that people are just sitting there doing nothing about it.
I don't get it at all. It's pure incompetence. Like I must have told you about. I've read this book, and it's all about the Glazers. And it's impressive how good they are at business. And we were told that about our owners, to be fair. But then you complain about the football side. But every year they're getting these big sponsorship deals. Like Chevrolet at the time was one of the biggest shirt sponsors you could have had. And you're like, okay, well, at least this is going to help the club in one sense. If you've got these blood-sucking vampires sucking all the money out of your club, then at least your club's generating enough revenue that it can keep up with that and still have a little bit of money in the bank to, actually invest and bring good players in. We don't have that. So you've got something that isn't a cash cow. Chelsea's not a cash cow because we've always been subsidized. And we've basically gone from being on the benefits system for a real life term to being forced to go out there and get a job, and we're struggling to pay our own bills. And that's where we are. But I mean, we're going to see, you know, prices increasing, all the rest of it. Apparently our revenues have gone up by 7%, which isn't a lot compared to other clubs. That's the crazy thing. So if those are poor numbers, if we're going to raise those numbers, then there's only one way they can do it, or two, three. You sell players, you increase prices, or you get a front of shirt sponsor. And I know what I'd rather have. Let's move on, guys. Let's talk about Jeremy Jacquet as well. I'm personally actually not a big. I'm not really opposed to this transfer in terms of the long term. I actually think he's a good player. I've got a big issue with it, but I do have an issue with the price. I also have an issue with the timing and the fact that it's going to be the only player that we sign.
So basically an issue with everything about that.
Well, for me, look, if he's going to be one of the best in class, or if he already is one of the best in class, and you're competing with Madrid and Arsenal, you can't deny he's a good player. So I'm glad that we're competing with those teams rather than the teams.
He wouldn't be going straight to start for those teams. That's the difference, is that he'd be a squad player in those teams, and then he'd be learning from top centre halves like Saliba, Gabriel, or, you know, Militao at Real Madrid, or whoever it might be. You know, that for me is different to going into an environment at Chelsea where you just chuck straight into the team and you need to learn from no top centre halves, because we haven't got any top centre halves at the football club. And so that's where it's a problem for me. I don't have an issue with signing a new centre back. We all know we need a new centre back, but if you're going to spend the £60 million that Rennes want, then in my opinion, you need to be getting someone for that money that is coming in to make an instant impact and takes your defence to the next level. He simply doesn't do that straight away. He doesn't do that in the next 12 or 18 months either. So it's one of those where I understand that this fits the model and this is kind of the player they want, and he's got a very good reputation and he's regarded as one of the biggest prospects in Europe. But how many times have we heard about that with Chelsea players and it doesn't really work out? But the thing for me is, right, Rennes have made it very clear. This is the money we want. You pay the money, he's yours. If you didn't want to pay the money, he's staying. So Chelsea have, and this is where Chelsea let themselves down massively, is when they brief every step of the negotiations, make it clear, you know, this is the main guy, this is our number one target, we want him. And so if you want him, sometimes you have to pay more than what you might want to. This idea that because Jacquet wants to join Chelsea, that means that suddenly Rennes are just going to bend over and drop their price to what we want to pay is madness. You know, I don't know where we get this false sense of leverage from. We haven't got any leverage in this situation. We want a team's best player. We want to take them in January, and we want to weaken them as they're trying to qualify for the Champions League. There's a premium to pay for that. So either pay the money and get your number one target, or move on and stop wasting time. It's that simple. Sometimes you've got to overpay, and people say, oh yeah, but if you overpay, then you set a precedent. We've already set the precedent. We've overpaid for so many players in the past. So whether I agree with the Jacquet signing or not, if this is your number one target, don't skimp out over a few million and go and get a lesser or worse option. Sometimes you've got to pay up, and sometimes it's better to overpay. So just get on with it. If you want him, just get on with it.
Well, there's a lot of internal pressure as well from Rennes' manager, who basically publicly came out and said, I don't want him to leave. And that's also going to add to the fact that, you know, you don't want to have a Crystal Palace situation at loads of other clubs where, at Rennes, where basically you've got a manager who goes, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm not getting any support. I've had enough. I'm not saying that's going to happen at Rennes, but, you know, again, you don't want to lose your best player. I mean, the only justification that you can have then if you're an owner is, listen, we got unbelievable money. We got more money for this guy than we did for Doku when we sold him to Man City.
They know. The Rennes manager knows that, like, if that money's paid, he's going. So this is quite simple. There's nothing to negotiate. The contract's agreed. The personal terms are agreed. He said he wants to join the club. Basically, Chelsea need to pay the money, or they need to stop wasting time and go and get someone else. But what I think will happen is we'll either do something right at the end of the window and for no reason in terms of the Jacquet thing, or we'll bottle this deal. They'll tell us how, we stuck to our valuation and suddenly we believe in the current crop of centre-backs, and they'll end up recalling an Ansel Mina or a Sarr. That's what will happen. Right now, for me, this Jacquet deal's not happening because we're not going to pay the money. Because we wanted
Why
to
don't
pay
we just recall Ansel Mina then? This is what I don't understand.
Well, we should have done. Yeah, we should have done. If you're going to sign another, if it's a top-level centre-back you're bringing in, I get it. But if you're going to sign another 20-year-old who's unproven, why would you not just recall one of the existing 10-year-olds you've got?
Message as well. That just, if I'm sat there, I'm thinking, well, all right then, Chelsea. Like everything you said was a lie. I don't know.
That's what we do. We just lie to players all the time.
Yeah, I think they've gathered that now. Most of them, they've understood what they've signed up for.
I mean, to be fair, what I will say is that, and I did a video about this. I said to myself, I'm going to be as level-headed as possible. I'm not going to. I know. I'm going to try and go at this with the most logical approach. I'm going to do some research, and I'm going to just go based on that. See what people have said. See, what's the data saying? What are the stats saying? And just go from there. And from what I've seen and from what I've read, and again, this isn't me hyping him up. He doesn't seem to be a player that has a lot of weaknesses. Okay, so he's quite aggressive. He's a well-rounded centre-backs, and he's pretty good on the ball as well as off the ball. I think he's got one of the best stats in Liga for shots blocked. Very good at distribution as well. Very good at passing the ball. But it's it's difficult to. It's like Rafinha in a way. I actually think it's not as bad as Rafinha. I mean that is a tough one to beat. But Rafinha, it's like you did a good job at Strasbourg. That doesn't qualify for the Chelsea job. I think it's a bit different as a footballer, because you do have these players like Palmer that come out of nowhere and they're unbelievable. And you've got Estevao, you sign when he's so young, and the same with Andre Santos. And I give credit for certain signings, of course. The problem is, though, it's like we're trying to change direction. And it's like when you're turning a ship. I don't know if you've ever driven a boat or anything like that, or maybe even been like, I don't know, paddle boarding. And like when you're in the water and it starts going the wrong way, and if you turn it too much, then the boat just starts spinning around and going in the wrong direction. Like, you have to be very careful with the way you direct. I don't know why I'm referencing a ship, but like, you get what I'm saying. And it's like, guys, we're going in the wrong direction here, and you're still aiming this, the wrong way. You've got to. We need something radical now at this point. And we're not sitting here saying that we need, we're not going to get Saliba, but a little bit of experience would be nice. What's his name? Sensi from Bournemouth. He's 29 or 28. His contract expires in the summer, and that would be a player that I'd be more than happy to look at. Now, I know he's not proven at the top level, but he's been exceptional for Bournemouth. I think he's a player that I remember when he came to the Bridge, I was pretty impressed with what I saw from him. And I've been impressed with what I've seen from him most of the season. Is that a player that you'd rather look at?
I don't know, really.
I mean, be realistic, Charlie. I know.
He's done okay, but we've got to remember last season he couldn't get in the team ahead of Huijsen and Zabarnyi. He was pretty much a sub last season. He's been all right for Bournemouth this season. I don't think he's not been someone that stood out and been like, oh wow, what a player. And again, for me, if you're looking at that, I just think, just recall someone you've already got instead of trying to take shortcuts, because let's be real. If we sign Senesi from Bournemouth, right, he's 28, 29 in May. He'll be 29 come next season. You probably get a couple seasons out of him, and then they'd probably look to move him on. For me, if this is the project, right, and you believe in these young players, you need to start giving them a chance. If this is what you're basing this on, you need to start giving them a chance. Well, what do you think the likes of Achimpong, Ansel Mino, Sarr and that are going to think if a 29-year-old's coming in from Bournemouth? Would you not be better off giving those minutes to one of those players who you are supposedly invested in for the future, and this is supposedly the project that you preach and that you believe in? You need to start showing you believe in it then, because if you're going to go and sign a 29-year-old to play limited minutes, you'd be better off developing the players that you've already got for those limited minutes, in my opinion.
Bournemouth has shipped a load of goals, says Neil. I think that is a pun. think that is a pun. That's a good pun, to be fair. Now I'll give you that one. That's a good one. I mean, Nina, what's your take on it? Because I know that we don't want to be looking at. I mean, I would have loved Dean Huijsen, but that ship sailed.
Mate, Real Madrid, we can't compete.
No,
Well,
but this is why I'm making the comparison.
So
we beat them for Esteban. Yeah, but we paid the money. We paid the money, though, didn't we?
Still, though, we could have not paid the money. We've been stingy in many scenarios. We've seen us lose out on a player we've supposedly really wanted and had as our number one target, because we don't want to pay the price, So yeah, I mean, we've seen it happen before, but I don't know. I argued last season, well, even before Levi Colwill got injured, that we needed to sign the centre back. So I still stand behind that, because I think since then we've progressively, or rather regressively, gotten a lot shorter and a lot weaker in that department. People might argue that it's not really, defence hasn't really been a massive problem this season, but the fact that, we still don't really have a regular sort of starting centre-back pair, and the fact that I still have seen Tosin and Badiashile start in the same back line. Yes, maybe to play weaker opposition, but even still, like, after all the money spent, it just still feels like our centre-back options are so limited. Fana can't really stay fit game in, game out. He seems to be managed way too carefully, so how much can you really rely on him? And also, excuse me, I don't know, it just seems to me like we're not going to build any consistency in our back line, bar our fullbacks, if we just keep chopping and changing. Colwill's not going to be back this season, so I do think we need to strengthen in that department. So for me, supposedly signing a player for that role would be quite beneficial to see out the season. What if we get another injury as well? Do you know what I mean? Then what? We already don't have a happily starting centre back. Chalobah's being put up for sale. Supposedly, we've been trying to move him on. We've been trying to move him on for 2 years now.
Well, he's got 2 years left on his contract in the summer as well, as does Tosin. So probably,
Tosin I can see being sold, but
100%. Tosin's not getting a new deal.
No, actually, well, I will say this though, that
I don't think he would get offered a new
deal. People don't like Tosin, but he is part of the leadership group at Chelsea. If they're looking at this in football, I mean, I'm trying to look at it at football terms, then you'd say, okay, maybe you should keep him in just for the dressing room's sake. But if you're just looking at it financially, it makes no sense to keep him. As for Chalobah, I was having this chat in the stadium, actually. I mean, I think Chalobah's arguably one of the most underrated centre-backs in the Premier League. I think there's so many teams that would take him, but for some reason they're never willing to go out and pay big bucks for him, even 20-30 million. Like, we've struggled to get even a moderate fee for him.
Yeah, I don't really know why that is. Look, by the way, for me, I'd be offering him a new deal and he would stay as like a third or fourth choice centre-back. I think that, he's more than good enough to do that role. I don't think he should be starting every single week for Chelsea. We want to get to where we're looking to get, but someone that knows the club, someone that gets it, someone that lives and breathes it. Those kind of characters are important to keep around the place. So I would look to bring him in, but again, to offer him a new deal. But again, you look at, I wouldn't be surprised if Badiashile, Tosin and Chalobah all left this summer. Certainly certainly Tosin will go. And then Badiashile, I think they might look to move on as well. So I think 2 from those 3 are definitely leaving. I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 left, but I think it would be a mistake to get rid of Chalobah from a squad perspective, not necessarily from a starting point of view, but from a squad perspective. So yeah, mate, I think there's going to be major overhaul at centre back. I think you could see minimum 3 centre backs leaving at the end of the season.
I think he's still better than most of our defenders. I mean, I think you'd still shortlist him as a top centre back right now with what we have.
Yeah, he's top. Yeah, even at the club right now, he's top 3. Him,
so how do you let go?
Are top 3 centre backs at the club.
Thing is, Chalobah will go to another club and do really well. I mean, we did
that.
He was
good at Palace when he was there on loan, wasn't he? Palace liked him. He did quite well for them. I'm not too sure why we cut that short. Potentially prohibited him becoming someone quite important to them. I don't know. It's a strange one, because it's like you don't really see him as a long-term prospect at the club. Fine, you're interested in generating profit on a player, a common player. Fine, but then you seem to just halt that Nick, like, you seem to halt that move every single time. I just don't quite understand what the vision is with Trev, and I like him as a player. I guess I've got the sentimental kind of feeling towards him, but if I take that out, I still think he's quite important right now. Do you know what I mean? It's like, unless you're going out there and signing a top centre back right now, someone to level up on his game, what we have outside of Trev is simply not good enough right now to see out the remaining season.
Would you take David Luiz back, Nina?
Yes, bring him in. Bring David Luiz back. Well, I told you the other day that he did break my heart when he signed for Arsenal. It was a girl's first heartbreak, but what a player. I still think he could do a job for us. There you go. Bring him in. Let's not forget he played through injury. I'm not encouraging playing through injury, by the way. That's not what you should do. But when it comes to resilience, mentality, hunger, drive, loyalty, love, he's got it all, hasn't he? So
I was gutted that he didn't come on against us or start.
I was too. Oh, you could have given him a couple minutes but no, I mean, if he's injured, he's injured, you know what I mean?
Oh, is that what it is? He's injured. I didn't.
Yeah, not fully fit.
Big up to Richie as well. Thank you for the super chat, mate. Yeah, I mean, this centre-back issue. I also think that, you know, as much as people don't want to admit it, this tossing issue, if Palmer isn't happy, I'm not saying that's the case, but if you want to keep him happy, getting rid of one of his best mates isn't going to help. Especially if we're talking about...
not getting a new deal. Let's be real.
But I'm not saying he is. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just putting it out there that, you know, these are factors that might make a difference if we're looking at a player being content at the club. I mean, it's like when you go to school. I mean, like when I was at school, a load of my friends ended up going to grammar. And then, you know, I was on my own one year and I ended up leaving that school. I ended up moving to bloody Spain, of all places. I lived in Spain for 2 years. So it does make a difference. You know, when your pals all leave and you're on your own, you feel isolated, then, you know, that can make a difference. But ultimately, it is business. And if you're telling me that we can make 10, 15, I'll take 20 as well. I'll definitely take 20.
Well, anything on tossing, because he was free, anything on tossing is going to represent a profit. So, you know, if you got 15 million quid for him, I think that would be a very good deal.
It is good business, no doubt. And I think on the footballing side, like, he has shown that he's not capable of performing in the Premier League. He's certainly not capable of performing in the Champions League. Like, there's games even against like your Cardiffs and all the rest of it. I'm like, fine, but it's just pathetic. Like Leeds,
Leeds, it was terrible.
I mean, Leeds is never an easy away game. You can't, let's not act like it is. But
also, can we just talk about, I'm just thinking about our centre-back transfers under the new ownership.
Terrible.
Which one's been good?
None of them.
Which one's been successful?
Sorry, which what?
As in, under the new ownership, which centre-back that we have signed has been successful?
Because you signed Fofana, Disasi, Badia Shield, Tosin, Anselmino and Sayo haven't even played for the club. So you signed maybe 4 first-choice centre-backs. None of them have been a success. Fofana is probably the only one you could say was actually a good level, but he's been injured. Disasi, Badia Shield and Tosin, none of them have been a success. None.
Yeah, no, you're right. We overpaid for Fofana so much, but he hasn't been injured yet, so I'm very happy.
I don't dislike Fofana, but like, I don't think you can say he's been a success so far.
I mean, he's a failure until last
3 games for us. Is that if you pay that much money for a player, you'd expect him, if he's fit, to start 3 games in a row at least? No.
Yeah, but it's probably not down. We know it's not. That's not down to the manager, is it?
Yeah, I know, but that's part of the problem, isn't it?
I don't think you're going to see Reece start 3 games in a row. You know,
it's happened. It's happened.
He
but
has, though. He has.
Yeah, he did, and that's one of the main reasons Maresca fell out with the medical team, was about minutes for James.
Can you imagine though? You're on the sidelines, and you're like away at Atalanta, and you're trying to get 3 points, and you've got this guy in the background going, "You got to take him off now. He's played 60 minutes." I'll probably be like, fuck off, mate. Let me focus on my job. And that's honestly what's happened, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I hear that. I would probably be the same. And look, obviously, I understand it to a certain extent. And I think what we are going to see now going forwards in the season is that Premier League games will be prioritised over other games. So don't be surprised to see, players left out in Champions League games and whatnot. So for the sake of the Premier League. I think Premier League will be prioritised over cup competitions as well. I wouldn't be surprised, mate. Watch us go to the second leg against Arsenal in the Carabao. It probably won't be a strong team.
What's the prize money for FA Cup?
Not much. No, it's more than the Carabao.
But Carabao's nothing, is it? But
yeah,
I mean,
you get 100k for winning that. It's mad.
100k for winning the Carabao.
Yeah.
What? No,
I think it is, mate. The Carabao prize money is well small.
No, it's got to be.
No, I'm going to look right now.
Did you say 100 or?
No, 100k.
No.
Hold on. Carabao Cup prize money. Oh no, that might have been for one round. Hold on.
Yeah, mate. I was going to say it's going to be a couple of million.
No, it's 100. No, mate, it's 100k.
What?
If you win the Carabao Cup final, you get 100k. Yeah. God. EFL Cup, League Cup winners receive 100k prize money, and the runners-up get 50k.
Oh, fair enough. That's actually.
No, mate, you don't get anything.
That's actually ridiculous. Carabao have got a great deal then, mate, because they're not like paying out much, are they? If there's only 100,000 in prize money, I don't know how much of that is covered by the sponsors.
Like an Asian energy drink thing. Like Carabao probably not. They're not short of money.
No, they're doing all right for themselves.
Have you ever had a Carabao before?
No, I don't drink. I don't really drink fizzy drinks, to be honest with you.
No. Well, mate, if we win the Carabao Cup, you need to have one after the game.
Sure. It's like, well, I mean, the only other time we've agreed before to have a drink was when we went to Arsenal years ago, and I made sure you and Luiz had a prime. Do you remember that?
You took so much. It was like a whole. It was the massive little stashes they.
Then before that, then last season they were giving out free crates of it.
Yeah, Kev took one home, didn't he?
That's what I'm talking about.
Mate, I have a couple Carabaos outside Wembley if we win. We're probably not going to win anyway, but I have a couple Carabaos outside.
Sure, we'll get some Carabaos.
Get the Carabaos in, mate. Nice mixed berry. Actually, the green apple's pretty decent Carabao.
So if you win in the third round of the FA Cup, you get 121 grand. If you win the FA Cup, you get 2.1 million. Yeah,
so 2 mil for the FA. Yeah, this is the point. Like, you know,
imagine you're getting thirds of Sterling's weekly salary just for getting through the whole tournament and winning it when he's just been training away from the squad all season.
I don't understand why you wouldn't be interested, even if it's 100k. It's like, come on,
guys.
But
it's not about the money. It's not
about the money.
No, but I'm trying. Like, that's what the owners are thinking. They're already looking at the money, but like, it's still money. Also, it's going to give you some credibility. Like, the reason that a lot of people backed what you were doing up until Maresca got sacked was because you won a Conference League. Trophies matter.
But look at the teams that are likely to be in the final. The final's likely to be Arsenal against Man City, and you're talking about, you know, people Carabao Cup don't matter. You know, it's not a big competition. It's this and it's that. Look at the teams that are consistently in the finals of the competitions. They do take it seriously, and it does matter. Newcastle, Liverpool last year. Do you know what I mean? So it does matter, and we're not in a position to be just like disregarding.
We're in no position to turn our nose up at this one.
No, but I wouldn't be surprised. Second leg, we don't see our strongest team out.
No, stop it. Yeah, we will. Of course, we will.
You actually believe that? Do you believe that?
Yes.
So you believe with 100% conviction that you think we're going to field our best team at the Emirates for the second leg?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you sound very surprised by that, Charlie, but I don't think that's...
You sound surprised by that because we know that they don't take this competition seriously. We know that the Premier League's a priority. We know that getting back into the Champions League is more important to them than this cup competition.
I think we'll know because I think
if I'm wrong, fine. But I've seen enough evidence to suggest that this doesn't matter to them, and our strongest team won't be on display.
I hear you, but for my own well-being, I will believe.
This is not what you actually think. This is what you're hoping for.
If it was up for Rosinia and he was actually picking the team, it would be the strongest team. I guarantee you. If it's not, then I know that he's not the one making.
So, just to confirm, do you or do you not think the strongest team will be on display against Arsenal second leg?
If Rosinia's picking it himself, then
If
yes.
Rosini's picking it, yes, that's it. Yeah, full stop. Rosini's taking the cup seriously. He would want to take the cup seriously.
But if he's not, then definitely not. I mean, who have we got in and around that period?
There's a lot of games.
We've got what date is that game?
2nd or 3rd of Feb, I think.
2nd or 3rd of Feb. Okay, so yeah, let's have a quick. So we got West Ham the Saturday before, and we got Wolves on the Saturday after. I think that you can go full strength, mate.
It's not about whether you can or can't. It's about whether they will, and I don't think they will.
I think you can do that. You can get away with dropping a few players.
I'm not suggesting you can't, but what I'm saying is that I don't believe that the club, the medical team, the manager, all of this stuff. I'd be very surprised if we saw our strongest team in the second leg. That's what I'm saying. What
I'll say as well is after Hull on the 13th, we've got a break until the 21st of Feb.
No, it won't be because it will probably. It's a week break. Yeah.
So I mean, listen.
Actually, it might not be because if we're in the Champions League playoffs, I think the midweek is going to be will be a leg of the playoff. Yeah, I think it will.
We have right before the Arsenal second leg.
West Ham at home,
and then Wolves away after that, and then we've got Leeds
and Burnley at home,
and Leeds at home and Hull away. Which Charlie and me, I think we're bailing on Charlie. We're not doing. I think
I'm gonna swerve it.
I respect it, honestly, Charlie. Like we'll do it all, mate. But the timing.
Mate, I've done every game this season domestically, and I've done every game this season in the UK, and I think I might draw the line at that Hull. Fucking Friday night.
It's because you got someone to be on Saturday, isn't it, Charlie?
No, it's definitely not, mate. But I don't think I can put myself through that, mate. The fact that you're considering swerving it as well means that there's definitely
it's crazy.
It's such a shit. It's so shit for me because I work Friday evening.
Yeah, mate. It's a real shit. It's a real shitter for me, mate. I think it's probably going to be the first game I'll miss this season.
Anyone that works outside, you can relate to me in England at least. It's like, I'm a coach and I've missed out on so much work. Like, honestly, it rained off yesterday, rained off the day of PAF. Like, every day's been rained off. So I can't afford not to work. Like, I don't mind missing a day of work, but Hull away, the travel,
Friday night,
hotel, 2 days of not working. I'm going to miss Valentine's Day as well. That's going to be tough. So, yeah, it's not going to do that, mate. Rachel's happy about it, but
you'll have to swerve it, mate.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. I'll do a watch along. There you go. I'm officially going to become one of those people who's going to do a watch along. I'm going to get all the scores, all the rest of it. Although it's a pretty basic setup at the moment. I don't know how they, like Mark Goldbridge, they get all of the.
No, mate, they got someone doing all that shit for them.
Well, yeah, I remember when I was in Manchester. So he's doing all the stuff at home, and they're in the studio outside Old Trafford, doing whatever's popping up on his screen at home. It's
serious, mate.
Serious stuff. I mean, mate, we're serious. We're not that serious.
Alongs, Alex.
Sorry, Nina.
Our studio watch-alongs. I wonder if anyone in here ever watched us in the studio doing the watch-alongs.
I think I did one studio watch-along and we lost away at Servette, and it was a terrible.
Oh my god! Yeah, that's the one. I think I did. It was we lost away, and then we were hanging on to
Servette. We actually almost went out.
But also that game against Wolves, we won 6-2, and I was like, "That's it, we're winning the league." How good was that game? Do you remember?
The 6-2 was good.
6-2 against Wolves. I remember that was the first watch along I did in there.
That was with Benny and all the rest of it. No, the watch alongs were unbelievable in terms of viewing, but they were just so expensive. I couldn't do it. I couldn't keep doing it. I just do them for like hour slots now, and I've got like 100 hours left. So just pop in whenever I want, really. But yeah, in hindsight, it was it could have worked if we had the same people every week, but obviously, like, you go to games and I go to games. So if I was in there, I would have been okay, cool. But there were some weeks.
Are you not going to do it on your own? in there.
But there was some weeks where I was honestly like I remember the first game week, I called 50 people to see if they go in the studio. And in the end, I got Cam and Brendan Cabina. And that was it.
What turnout? What?
Mate,
I actually think
I
that
remember when
I might have been that
first
pushy
came.
with some people that
Brendan
might
and
have-
Benny were funny though.
no,
Sure.
Brendan's class, but it's just like I wanted 4 at least because I don't know, it's just good to have 4 characters on there. But I think I lost my relationship with a couple of people because I kept chasing them on, are you coming to the podcast studio? Are you coming here?
Mate, I remember when you were doing fucking watch-alongs for them American pre-season games in Maresca's first pre-season, like when we got bashed up by Celtic and shit and didn't beat Wrexham.
Oh yeah.
Matt Dav came for the Celtic watch-along, and then we went out afterwards. He was not a fan of the studio at all. Not a fan. But he managed to do it, and it was great fun, to be fair. Matt was great. Rachel was right opposite us. She didn't want to be on camera, obviously. She was on the opposite sofa, and then me and Matt were there. And then we ended up going out with Luis after, and I think they both got kicked out of the club. So me and Rachel
sounds about right, to be honest.
Yeah. So we were in there for about 5 minutes, and then got kicked out. So
fair play.
That was fun. Big up to Matt. Hope you're doing very well. I need to give Matt a call, actually. I do need to give Matt a call. It's been so long since I've seen him. I haven't seen him in a long time. Anyway, big up to everyone. Really appreciate your time. If you've enjoyed the show, smash that like button, subscribe as well. You can also get some very cheap football shirts at okjersey.com. And if you use the code CFTV, you get 8% off. So it becomes even cheaper. I actually am. I've asked Rachel to get me some for my birthday because my birthday's tomorrow. I was like, just use my own code.
Tomorrow?
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, there we go then.
Yeah. I turned 24 on the 24th. Doesn't look like it. I know.
Mate, you might get a 6-year contract for your birthday.
Yeah. Actually, no, you're too old for a 6-year contract. Sorry.
No, you might get 24. You get away with a 6-year contract.
24. Yeah, 24.
Yeah, mate, 6-year contracts. You might get a 6-year. Might unwrap a 6-year contract tomorrow morning, mate.
I'm already well established in the league.
Yeah, you are well established in the league. New contracts, maybe with an opt-out clause, break clause, maybe, to cover yourself.
Break clause. Oh, good. There you go.
There we are.
Smash the like button, guys. Check out Charlie's channel as well. Blue Brother. Check out Nina's Chelsea Corner as well. And we'll be back. We'll be back very soon. We'll what's the next game? Palace on Sunday. There you go. So all the best, guys.
The Pillars, mate, as well. We're going to be.
Oh no, not the Pillars, mate. Oh, I hate the Pillars. All the best. Catch